Over 2,000 years ago, a Greek historian named Polybius noticed something strange. Empires did not collapse randomly. They followed a pattern. Power begins with a strong ruler who brings order. Over time, that ruler becomes corrupt. Elites replace him, claiming to govern more wisely. Eventually, those elites begin serving themselves. The people revolt and demand democracy. But without strong institutions, democracy decays into chaos. And from chaos, a new strong ruler emerges. Polybius called this cycle anacyclosis. What makes this uncomfortable is that this cycle doesn't belong to ancient history. Polybius wasn't describing Rome alone. He was describing what happens whenever power stops listening to reality, including in systems people today assume are permanent. This idea explains something most people misunderstand. Empires do not fall because of war. War is usually a symptom, not the cause. They do not fall because they run out of money. Many collapse while still rich. They do not fall because of foreign enemies. Those enemies are often weaker than the empire itself. Empires fall for one reason: their incentive systems break. At the beginning of an empire, leaders are rewarded for competence. Good decisions lead to expansion, stability, and trust. Institutions are flexible. Feedback from reality matters. Over time, success creates complexity. Bureaucracies grow, rules multiply, power concentrates. Eventually, elites stop being rewarded for good decisions and start being rewarded for protecting their position. At that point, learning stops. Roman elites began extracting wealth instead of reinvesting in infrastructure. The Qing dynasty dismissed Western technology as irrelevant. The British Empire clung to outdated trade models long after conditions changed. Soviet planners falsified data to appear successful, slowly blinding the system. The pattern is always the same. Expansion leads to complexity. Complexity leads to bureaucracy. Bureaucracy distorts incentives. Distorted incentives block feedback. And when feedback disappears, collapse becomes inevitable. Empires don't fall when they lose battles. They fall when they stop learning. By the time collapse becomes visible, the cause is decades old. Now, this isn't just ancient theory. Look at the signs around us. In Britain, slow growth, halting investment, and collapsing trust in institutions are not random. They are symptoms of a system that increasingly rewards political theater over durable solutions. Attention is consumed by surface-level conflicts, while deeper economic problems quietly worsen. In the United States, the pattern looks different but familiar. Relentless polarization, repeated budget brinkmanship, and a rising long-term debt burden create incentives that reward survival over competence. When decisions are made to win the next news cycle instead of solving long-term structural problems, feedback loops break. These are not accusations, they are parallels. Late-stage empires don't collapse through invasion, they rot from the inside. Leaders focus on short-term survival instead of long-term stability. Politics becomes performance. Public attention is diverted towards surface-level conflicts, while deeper economic problems are postponed. The Romans had a phrase for this: bread and games. Keep people fed, keep them entertained, delay the hard choices. It works until it doesn't. When economic pressure builds slowly, people adapt without realizing what's happening. Living standards stagnate, debt grows, productivity weakens. Institutions insist everything is fine, and by the time public awareness catches up, the system no longer has the flexibility to correct itself. That is the real danger of institutional decay. Not sudden collapse, but delayed awareness. History doesn't repeat because people are stupid. It repeats because incentives overpower intentions. Even well-meaning leaders become trapped inside systems that reward the wrong behavior. Polybius wasn't predicting one empire. He was describing a universal mechanism. Every empire believes it is the exception, every elite believes it is more rational than the last, and every collapse feels impossible until it becomes inevitable. The question is never whether an empire will fall. The question is whether it can fix its incentives before it stops learning.